Death is this force of change. What had to die for you to truly live?
Truly, what kind of life do I want to die from? That sent me on a journey of reclaiming my life from the lowest point of my life to literally being rebirthed into this world. I had that FAFO mentality. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck around and find out. The more people that we can get to live in their light and shine that light and guide others and show other people their own light, the more that we can reduce the pain and suffering. I love truth more than my own feelings, more than my own opinion. Those that seek the truth, those that seek the light, they will find it.
I was literally thinking about, how am I going to introduce you? You're just this incredible person. I'm so deeply privileged to have you here today on the show. And I was thinking about, how did I meet Emily? And of course, we met at the retreat, Azria and Benjamin Bakur's gathering in Mexico. And we had an incredible time, got to see the retreat that they're building. But then I felt like you and I had a really great chance to connect. And I was thinking through, like, I didn't meet Emily with the accolades or the reputation or the accomplishments. I met Emily, of course, this incredible NPC, competitive bodybuilder, successful content creator, podcast host. But I met the light behind the identity, and I met the person who is this beautiful light moving through this world that's spreading her beautiful, unique gifts. And that is the representation of the Emily I had a chance to meet. And you're just here, and I could feel that energy from you, where you're here to guide others towards this authenticity and love, but through your own embodiment. A woman who's raising the collective frequency by being who she is. So to me, that is the Emily Hayden I've had the honor and privilege to meet. Of course, I'd love for you to add on anything into the introduction, but I just felt called to share that with you in the intro. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For the gift of being seen.
Of course.
For what I consider to be one of the most valuable things, which is my inner light.
Yeah.
The most valuable thing. It really is such a beautiful gift to be seen for that and recognized for that. And I respect and appreciate that so much.
Of course.
And I am so grateful that we got to meet at that weekend.
Yeah.
Truly, you're such an incredible soul, and you have so much deep presence and groundedness, and you really have just been through such a journey in your own life. And so to hear some of the things and the challenges that you went through to reach this level of embodiment and consciousness that you're at now was really, truly so inspiring. And it makes for the best conversations too.
Yeah.
So I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I think that is the best actual introduction that I may have ever gotten. So
Wow.
I don't really want to add anything to it, because truly it highlighted the things that matter the most to me. Yeah. The best compliment anyone could ever give me is about my inner light, not the external things, not anything I've accomplished, but about the essence of who I truly am and what I'm here to do in this world. And you've done that beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, it's just a testament to your own embodiment and presence that you bring. So I thank you, and thank you for what you're bringing to this world. I've recently gone through this process. My mother, someone close to her, had passed away unexpectedly through his own will. And so I've been around this presence of death, and it's been, close enough to me to also impact the past few days. And, through my own journey and my own transformation, death has been a deep part of my process. And death is, this force of change. And sometimes it comes in like a storm, and other times like a whisper. But in everything, it's sort of this unraveling. And whether it's death or loss of someone that we love, or this loss of identity or attachment we have to a certain part of us, or even a relationship that no longer serves us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to learn, what has death been like for you, what that relationship with death is for you, and how has it shown up in your life, not just as a loss, but as an invitation. And in the most pivotal moments of your journey, what had to die for you to truly live?
Wow.
Yeah.
What a powerful way to start this show.
Thank you.
Death has been one of my biggest teachers in my life. Ever since I was little, I've lost people very close to me. A little girl who was about 7 years old from leukemia when I was younger. She was like a little sister to us. Someone who was like my second mom. We called her Aunt Reem, and she just tragically passed away one day. Multiple friends throughout college, and even after that, multiple people in just freak accidents that don't make any sense. So death has been very prevalent in my life in that form. There's many forms of death. And what that form of death taught me was, it really just held up a mirror to myself and the ways that I'm living my life and how I want to go out of this world. So some of the people that I've lost, the things that were reflected in me were truly, what kind of life do I want to die from? And the truth is, I want to die from living my life fully, authentically, as me, not worrying about other people's opinions or judgments. You know, I think that's something that a lot of people deal with. I dealt with a lot, was really worrying about how this would look to others or what they think of me, or I wouldn't be my fullest self or fully express who and what I was, or maybe what I was doing, because I knew it would be rejected by them.
Right.
But when you're faced with death so many times, you eventually get to this point where you realize on your deathbed, you're not going to be caring about what Aunt Susie said or Mary or Ben. You're not going to care. Sorry, I love all you guys. Maybe I shouldn't use names. But you're not going to care about what they've said about you. You're going to care about the way that you lived your life, how you chose to spend your life, and who you spent it with. That's truly what matters. Now, to answer your deeper question about what I had to let go of in order to truly live, I think about the time in my life where I was at the lowest point of my life. And I was at the point of really contemplating if I wanted to continue living. And I dealt a lot with suicidal ideation. I was at the most painful point in my life, and it felt like the pain was never ending. And it felt like, you know, in that moment, it just felt like everything I do and everything I experience leads to insurmountable pain that just feels like it's never ending, like it's going to take me out fully. And I just got to this point of like, if this is life, I just want relief. All I wanted was relief from the pain. And in that moment, there was a voice that came in and said, okay, you can be done, but you need to answer these questions first. And it was, would you be proud of the year of life that you just lived? And I thought about the year of life, living in so much fear, worrying about what other people were thinking about me, not living my life fully, literally closing down my own voice, hiding, not being seen. And I was just like, no, I would not be proud of that. I said, okay, do you have more in this life that you would like to experience? And I thought about places like Hawaii and Iceland and these beautiful wonders of the world that even just looking at them through a phone or through Instagram would light my soul on fire. I just thought, man, I'd really like to experience those. And the third question was, have you brought forth all the gifts that you are currently aware of inside? Have you brought that out and given it to the world? And I thought of a few different things, and I said, no. There's more inside that I'm currently aware of that I know I'm meant to give this world. And so the conversation I had with myself was, then you can be done, but you have to go do those things first. And you have to give life a full shot. Give life 365 days, an entire year of living as the fullest version of you, fully authentic, using your voice, not worrying about what other people think about you, fully pursuing the gifts that you know that you came here to give to others, being in your purpose, being of service. And if at the end of that, you still feel this insurmountable pain and you've pursued healing, you've really pursued it with everything that you have, then you can be done. And that sent me on a journey of reclaiming my life, my truest essence. And, I really have empathy for you and your mother and your family and what you might be experiencing right now through this deep loss. I also have a deep understanding of it. And I actually want to share a dream and downloads that I got about this exact topic. And I feel that this message is meant to get out about this. And dreams are a big part of my life. I get a lot of downloads and messages in them. And sometimes I'll wake up from a dream and it's straight downloads. And I write down all of these inner knowings. And the dream itself was about this topic. And when I woke up, the messages that were coming through were basically saying that there's this inner light that we all have. And some of us were taught how to access it. Some of us figured out how to access it. And there's others that are completely unaware that it exists within them. And so I remember the message coming forth saying, keep showing people how to access their inner light. But then I got really upset and I said, what about all the people that choose to go through with that decision, that don't find the inner light? What about them? And I saw this vision of this person struggling at that level, and that inner light was hidden inside of their vessel so far beneath so much pain and trauma and hurt that they didn't even know that it existed within them. And the message to me was, show people how to see it, how to access it, and how to live from that. And the truth is, I trust everyone's pain. I trust everyone's even spiritual journey on this human experience in this earth, which means that sometimes they choose to have that experience for the evolvement of their soul, which I believe is a higher perspective that we'll never be able to truly understand until we transition back into the spiritual world. But what that lesson and my life experience has shown me is that no one is beyond repair. And the more people that we can get to live in their light and shine that light and guide others and show other people their own light, the more that we can reduce the pain and suffering that I believe leads to that.
So beautiful and such powerful commentary as it relates to your journey and just your relationship with death. And, it holds such negative connotation, especially in the Western world. And for us to, I'm totally on the same page as you. Like we come here to experience our certain challenges, sufferings, pain, etc., for the evolvement of our soul's journey. And it's conceptually hard to grasp that death is this window or portal into the call for transformation. And I'm seeing it even with my mom and what she's going through, that it's almost this call or invitation for her to look deeper into her own self. And so, I know certainly on my journey, death was the call for my transformation, the death of my relationship with my ex-wife, the death of this, ego-driven career that I was once in, and having to re-identify, break down every structure, every belief system that I had to literally nothing. And I resonate with your story a lot because there was a time and place not too long ago where I felt the same, feeling very close to this point of, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. And looking back, those are the moments where the real transformation starts to begin. And so it's really beautiful. And I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing that.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd love to give some guidance to someone that might be experiencing that.
Please.
And my dad shared this with me one time, this first part. And he said that he believes that message, a lot of people, they interpret it wrong. So when you get that message that I don't want to be here, I don't want to live life, it's not to remove yourself from earth. It's everything about your life has to change. There's a different life that you're called to live. And if you'll see it as an opportunity to let go of your current life, knowing that in this moment, everything must change,
Right.
then you have an opportunity to literally create a new life for yourself.
1000%.
So if you're in that experience of life, then maybe just ask yourself, what about my current life is not aligned with the fullest version of me, the authentic version of me? What groups and which people are not in alignment with that authentic version of me? And how can I start to let those things go to make space? There's this natural process that happens when you're experiencing a death, and when it's a death of the ego or self or this life that you've created. Often there's this phase where you let it go, and then there's space. So the new life doesn't happen right away.
Right.
And sometimes in that space, it can get really scary. Like, I just let go of all these people, of this job, of everything that I've known in my life, all my safety, all my security, even though it wasn't truly authentic, even though it wasn't truly embodied.
Right.
But I've just let it go, and now I have nothing. It's actually a really great place to be, because now you can start to intentionally curate every part of your life. It's kind of like when you move into a new place and you didn't bring anything with you. You just have this empty apartment, and piece by piece, you get to put these little things in there that bring your soul so much joy and so much happiness, to where all of a sudden, a little bit time goes by and you look around and you have this beautiful home with all of these things that just sing to your heart, that make you feel alive. The same is true in our spiritual home. This earth suit is our spiritual home. It's our one earth suit vessel that we get to walk around in. And so I think the most beautiful thing that you could do for yourself is to let go of all the things that aren't truly in alignment with your authentic, fullest expression. Allow that space, and then intentionally curate and craft what does come into your life. Even with the foods you eat, the things that you consume. And one thing that I did when I was getting out of that really dark place was I had the highest level of boundaries for myself. Some of those looked like I had to eat 3 nutritious meals a day, which sounds simple, but as a professional athlete, I was not eating at that point. So that was an act of self-love, that I love myself. I love my body. So I'm going to nourish this body with foods that will make me feel alive from the inside out. Moving my body every single day was a non-negotiable. I had to do that for an hour every single day, no matter if it was walking outside, going to yoga, boxing, lifting, whatever it was, movement, because it's healthy, it's good for my body, it's loving of my body to do that. I immediately exited any group or friendships that didn't allow the fullest expression of me. I just took space. I didn't have anything dramatic. I had a few closure conversations of, hey, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. And that was hard. I experienced other people's judgment and their fear and their beliefs about the path that I was taking. They didn't understand it, and they had a lot of fear in it. But in that moment, I was able to recognize this fear is not mine. I'm not fearful. I know what I'm doing is in alignment with who I am. So I can hold the space for the fear, and I can even recognize, wow, it actually comes from love. This person literally loves me. And that's why they have so much fear about me going out and paving my own path. And I'm willing to accept that. I accept that. And also, I love you. I'm going this way now. So yeah, it was really such a beautiful journey of just owning who and what I am.
I love that. Because sometimes the hardest things when we're going through that period is, and I think what you did was great, like the non-negotiable around, like, I need to do one form of physical activity, right? And it doesn't have to be complicated, right? It's just the simple things that can move us inch by inch towards where we need to be. I know, for example, for myself, leaving the industry I was in, there was such a hard disassociation. It took me 4 years to completely remove that identity.
Wow.
And I'm curious, as you were implementing sort of these little tricks and hacks into your programming, what was it like though to remove or kind of transform? You were this incredible competitive bodybuilder, content creator, etc. How were you able to transmute that and get to a place where you don't associate or have those sort of attachments to who you are?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It came from my own journey of getting to know myself on deeper levels. Who am I without any of that? And I think I always had a sense of that. Think about even my podcast, my brand is Evolve with Emily. I knew from the moment of starting it that it would always be Evolve with Emily. It's a journey that continues, that's never ending. And I knew that it wouldn't remain the same because I just can't. I'm here to evolve. And I know that at a deep level, I have this inner gnosis, as you'd say. I have this inner gnosis of that. And so knowing that, you know, even naming my brand and podcast that, it gave me the permission to change. And I think sometimes people fear getting started in something because they know, what if in a couple of years I don't feel this way? Or what if in a couple of years I'm different? Good. That's literally the point of life.
Right. The fear of change is like,
yes. Something that helped was taking literal space. So traveling, I did a camper van trip where I lived out of the van for a couple of weeks with my dogs. And that was awesome. It's like a little apartment in there. You have a stove, you have a fridge, you have your bed. I could literally drive for hours, pull over on the side of the road and cook a steak dinner at sunset for myself and get back on the road.
That's amazing. All throughout the U.S.? Oh, that's
I did it all on the West Coast.
Okay, West Coast.
Yeah, I stayed on the West Coast primarily. And also one pivotal part of my healing journey was hiring mentors. And these mentors really helped me to shed all of the limiting beliefs and patterns. And there were so many things that were deeply ingrained that I didn't even realize that it wasn't necessarily fact or truth. It was just my conditioning. And so having an outside eye, an outside perspective to just reflect some of those things to me and even tell me like, where'd you get these rules from? You realize that there's like actually no rules in life, right? Like don't hurt others, don't harm yourself or others. But besides that, there's really not rules. And I'm sitting there like, really? So I can they're like, yeah. And so taking space, having really good mentorship. And I gave myself this little bubble to where I could just focus on me. And anything that I said yes to was in alignment with my healing. So maybe it was a meditation or a breathwork class, a yoga, a mentor, a workshop. All of it was catered to my healing. So that was my most important priority at the time. And I feel that that really helped me just to layer by layer, sit there and do the work and let all the layers come through. And for myself, I was so committed to my soul freedom that I didn't struggle to let go of anything. Really, truly, even if it was a hard conversation or even if it was something I'd believed my whole life. And I do think this is something about me in particular, is that I actually love truth. I love truth more than my own feelings, more than my own opinion. So I can hear the hardest of truths, even about myself. And I'm like, okay, done. And also, I credit this to my dad. When I was younger, he used to make us say out loud, I was wrong. And so we'd have to say, I was wrong, and maybe apologize to a brother or sister. I have a huge family. Whatever it was, we had to say, I was wrong. And I didn't realize how unique that was until I grew up and realized a lot of other adults have never said those words in their life and that they cannot admit it to save their life.
I know a few.
Yeah. And so then I realized, I was like, wow, that's actually really special that my dad gave me that lesson at such a young age. Because when you're able to admit that, which we all have moments like that in life, we're all human. When we're able to admit that, it now gives the opportunity to create a change, to do something a different way, to try out what does work. So yeah, that's just a little thing that I've noticed in my life has been so impactful for me, being able to accept hard truths and make an immediate change. Whereas I find a lot of people struggle to make changes when they can't face the truth, when truth feels really uncomfortable for them, when they're not willing to face it, or when they're so in their ego that they're not able to just be humble and say, you know, I'm willing to be shown a different way or a different path, or that I was wrong, or that I, you know, have room for improvement in this way. And I don't always love the right and wrong lingo, but that, you know, I think you understand what I'm saying by that. Like, I just not having an ego about something, being able to say, oh, okay, like I see you, I hear you, I can do this better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder sometimes if it's also, you know, it's interesting because like I look at like my parents' generation and their timing of upbringing was like, you didn't speak your truth, you just, you fall in line with what society and, how others, and especially where I grew up in the Middle East, like everything, everyone knows each other to some degree. And so you have to uphold the certain reputation, uphold the certain image.
Wow.
And so, I think looking in as in our generation, even the generation that's coming up, like once you get to that place of speaking your truth, can you only then start to fall in line into the true authenticity of who you are?
Mm-hmm.
And there is no better way to live life than to live your highest truth and the most authentic version of yourself. We all strive to, and I know I'll speak for myself, you go on this ayahuasca journey and you're like, what's my purpose? Tell me what my purpose is in life. And to me, purpose or meaning is really a frequency. Dharma is a frequency. It's what you give to that thing that you hold value to at that moment with that devotion and presence. There's just as much much dharma or purpose in of course the higher calling of wanting to lead and inspire others to transform, as someone who's layering bricks with such precision and presence, right? So, I mean, you are this embodiment of this authenticity and love and light. And as you see others, maybe within family, within friends, relationships, how to get someone to start to see that other side? Or is it just that they need to go through their own suffering and it's hard to watch, especially family who you want so much to help and bring them up into the light, but they're just stuck in that loop, in that cycle of belief systems that they can't change. I mean, what do you say to that? Or what's been your experience with people close to you?
Yeah. I think the most loving thing that you could do is shine your light the brightest that you possibly can. And to just be the walking embodiment of someone that is living fully authentic, fully embodied in their truth. And that will shine through in every experience that they have with you, every conversation, and especially the way that you respond to life, especially when life is not perfect or not good. That I think will be the biggest teacher for them. And what I've found is that everyone is just on their own timeline and on their own journey. And what I've also done before is, with someone very close to me, they were really claiming a diagnosis for themselves. And I knew the capital T truth on this because I've known this person their entire lives. And so I spoke up one time and I said, I'd like to share truth with you, my truth with you, if you're willing to hear it. And they said yes. And I said, I've known you your entire life. This was not a part of your life until X, Y, and Z. So I want you to know this is not who you are. This is not your identity. This is who you are. Let me reflect that to you because I've known you your entire life. And yet I respect the path that you're on, the decisions that you're making, and what you need to do to support yourself right now. And I left it alone and I never mentioned anything again, and nothing changed for years until years later. This person went on their healing journey and came to me and said, I am not that diagnosis. And I said, I love you. Welcome home.
Love that.
So I believe in both. I believe in being that walking embodiment of light. I do believe in speaking truth to those that we love, especially when you ask and they're open to it. But then I believe in allowing them to go on their own journey. And something you can do that's super powerful is just sitting in meditation, tuning into your heart, and literally sending them the frequency of love, light, and awareness. That is more powerful than people think.
I agree with you.
And it will create more change than any conversation more times than not. Because the problem is that sometimes we're trying to have a conversation with someone at our level of awareness, but they haven't taken the journey to reach a new level of awareness for them that allows them to communicate on the same frequency as us.
Right.
And that doesn't make them bad or you good and them bad or vice versa, whatever. That everyone is on their own journey, on their own timeline. And so I think the most loving thing you could do is just meet them exactly where they're at, send them the frequency of love and light, and just know that those that seek the truth, those that seek the light, they will find it in their own way, in their own time.
Great. Much of this process is embodiment, and embodiment has been the exploration of the last several months for myself, even just how much we embody it. And I read this thing the other day that really spoke to me, was around faith and what is faith, and not just this thing that we believe in, right? But it's really this practice of how we live, and the faith is held in how we live. And to me, that is the embodiment. And, I've learned through, I used to have this phrase that I used to say all the time, which I had picked up from this real estate mogul. And I thought this was the secret to life and success: nothing in moderation, everything in excess. Clearly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Clearly, I really held on to that, because that was how I operated, was 0 to 100 in all aspects of my life. And of course, today I know that balance is the key, and alignment. And really, when you embody the practices that you speak, and you hold yourself into that alignment, you can create that foundation for you to speak your highest truth, embody the authenticity. I'm curious for you, what does alignment look like, not just as a concept, but as a lived experience? Yeah.
This is a good question. For me, it's a process of tuning in and being aware of what I'm feeling in my body. We know when we feel a full body yes.
Right.
And we know when we feel a and we know when we feel a no. But it takes presence, awareness, and the ability to tune in. So for myself, it's finding that feeling inside that's like a full body yes. When Ben invited me to that weekend in Mexico, immediate full body yes.
Right.
Whatever I needed to do, I had to move an event to get to that event. I literally had to call and potentially jeopardize another relationship. I wasn't sure how they would handle that. Thankfully, they handled it beautifully, and they said, we can't wait to do an event with you, so you let us know another date that works. And things aligned perfectly. The universe literally moved things for me. But for me, it's always just tuning in and finding that full body yes. And I believe that exists in every area of life. Though I will also say, I haven't had experiences in life where it wasn't a full body yes. It was more so like I think.
Right.
And then I go and it becomes a full body yes. And I think that's where discernment comes in. And that's where having faith comes in, and also trusting yourself that sometimes you need to experience things that are a no, or sometimes you have to experience and learn through that experience. So meaning I'm not scared to go and, let's say the thing I felt about, I go and I get a full body no once I'm there. Perfect. I got the information I needed. Now I know that this is a no. This experience, this relationship, this business, this partnership, whatever it might be, I've gotten the answers that I needed. And now I can take that and even sharpen my discernment moving forward. Now,
is there resistance that comes in that kind of? Is that what comes up, do you think, that clouds, or is it because we're unsure of whether that's the right path, or is it clouded by the ego, etc.? How do you discern that?
Yeah, all of the above. I don't think I have like a perfect way of discerning that. I think sometimes I just give myself the ability to go experience it and then find out. There's been things that I've been so excited about and feeling like, oh yeah, this is definitely it. And then I go and I experience it and it's like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And I'll laugh about it. I literally laugh with the divine about it. Like, okay, that's funny. I will not do that again. That is not the path. That is not in alignment. But we literally came here to experience and to learn. And so I think it would be silly to think that we'll always just make the perfect choice by tuning in. Sometimes your spirit, your soul path is to learn through the experience of something like a failure or a full body no, or something that would be maybe even undesirable.
Right.
Those are often like some of the best teaching moments. So yeah, alignment for me is about just tuning in, feeling into my body, and then using the discernment that I have to make the best choice that I can at that time.
Yeah.
And even when I look back on experiences that I've had, I have so much love and grace for myself because I've always made the best choice that I could. And then with new information, I can always make a different choice. So it just gives me the freedom to not worry about getting things, quote unquote, right, whatever that means.
You have something that you say that I learned is FAFO.
FANFO? Yeah.
What is that?
It means fuck around and find out. Welcome.
I love that.
You know, when I was going through that deep healing journey from the lowest point of my life to literally being rebirthed into this world, I had that FAFO mentality. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fuck around and find out in life. And that gave me the courage to just jump in any direction that I wanted to jump. Taking a camper van trip into the middle of nowhere with just me and my dogs. As a female solo traveler, there was a lot of fear in that. There was a lot of uncertainty. And part of me was waiting for a partner to have that experience in life until I realized I might die waiting.
Right.
And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to FA and FO. And I did. And every time that I took that leap of faith, I had the most incredible experiences. That camper van trip brought me back to life. So I'm so thankful for the girl that felt the fear and decided to FAFO.
I love that. Well, I mean, you can only learn the experiences through the FAFO, right?
Exactly.
And no one can tell you. I think this is a big part of this experience of transformation as well, is you start to learn that how much of our gnosis, our inner knowing, is so much of our guiding light in this world. And just listening and tapping into that, even if we don't have the clear full yes, but maybe there's something there, it's experiencing that will turn, as you said, potentially to that full yes. Or it might be, this wasn't the right experience, but I still learned something from it. I feel, and I'm curious from your perspective, but a lot of this movement towards this inner knowing, and for me, it's always been this alignment. Now that I've come to this practice of when I'm more aligned, I feel balanced. I'm on my path. I could feel it. I know I'm exactly where I need to be in the experience. And
when you're not,
you're like, holy shit, like the mind chatter's coming back again. For me, I've struggled with emotional eating. That's been my way of comfort. So I'll see my weight fluctuate. I'll see, the practices start to, things that help me in that process of transformation, I might avoid for a little bit. And I think there's a truth in the human experience that there is the part of me that wants to be a sort of Siddhartha and like be in the most godlike state. And I love when I'm doing my medicine journeys because that's where I'm at. And then there's the side of me that comes back into the body, and I'm like, this is heavy. I feel the density. For a long time, I felt like, this purpose was meant to be this grandiose, experience, and that I'm here to change the whole world. I believe healing yourself changes the whole world because you elevate the collective frequency through your own healing as you touch others. But it's the integration, the spiritual integration with the material, with the physical. And it almost feels like the more awakened I become, the challenges of the embodiment, even they begin to get like almost amplified. And it's like I'm holding, the more space I'm holding, the more need of the embodiment I need to practice. And the beautiful integration of spiritual and material, because I also don't think running off to the Himalayas and meditating 15 hours a day is the actual experience that we're here for, at least not for myself. But and then also being fully attached to the material can also cause the just this cloudy vision of what we're here to do and experience. What does that integration really look like for you? How do you bring those two into this form? Because one last thing I'll say is when we think of material and spirituality, sometimes people think of it as two very opposite components, like especially around money. Whereas I see money as really, it's just a form of energy. It really is the perspective that you bring to it. So how do you integrate the two, spiritual and material?
I love this question because it's what I dedicate my life to. It's what I guide others to do. I created this program called the Butterfly Effect, talking about how one little small change added up over time can truly create a massive ripple effect in the rest of your life. And I help people to walk out the daily embodiment of the new awareness that they have. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about being so spiritual and in this godlike state all the time. It's about you understanding and seeing who you truly are, and then walking that out on a daily basis while bringing God's love to your own human experience. So the more work that you do, the more aware that you are, it will also allow you to be more loving towards your own human experience, so that when you are having the human experience, you don't have to run away from it or hide from it or make yourself bad or wrong for it. You get to have the divine's compassion for you. Like, oh man, he's really struggling with these human things right now. Okay, let me meet him where he's at. And let me also, in a practical sense, recognize when I slip into old patterns and old thoughts and even ways of being that aren't in alignment with your highest self. I teach this work and it's because I live this work, meaning I am not perfect, meaning I'm responding in ways that are not in my highest embodiment sometimes, and I'm thankful that I have so much love and so much grace for my human experience that I can just recognize. And I think the step one, the most important step, is just the self-awareness. Oh, the human's kicking in right now and going to these old unconscious patterns that really don't serve me. I'm not going to judge it, and I'm not even going to try to change it right now. Let me try to understand what's really happening on a deeper level. What part of me is expressing right now? What does that part of me need? What does that part of me need to say? And how can I see it, love it, and hold space for it right now?
Can you give an example? Because sometimes I feel like it's so much easier to conceptualize it, but actually understanding that integration.
Totally. Yeah. Let's give an example. Let's say, okay, so I was going throughout my day and all of a sudden I realized that I have underlying anxiety. So, and this is kind of maybe a common experience for me. That is how unresolved things start to present in my own life. And so, I'm walking the dogs, I'm like kind of anxious. And because I'm anxious, now I'm kind of like, come on, like, let's go. And maybe like a little shorter with the dogs than I normally am. Like, come on, guys, just like maybe like a little annoyed energy, which is not this like loving, nurturing, peaceful energy that I typically am in. And so I'm like, okay, I'm recognizing that. And then I, put the dogs up and I'm like, okay, I should go to a coffee shop and I should work and I should do all these things. And I get into this like kind of like this hyper state. And in that moment, and I'm remembering an exact moment, I remember just having this awareness. Hold on a second. There's something going on internally that I consciously haven't caught up to yet. So instead of going to the coffee shop and working all day and maybe even having more caffeine, let me sit down on this meditation pillow and literally just sit with this feeling of anxiety. And so I might put on some healing frequencies, some sounds, might light an incense, sit down on my pillow, take a few deep breaths. And by the third breath, tears. It's like, interesting. I don't even know what I'm emotional about right now. And so I sit with myself a little bit deeper and I talk to the deeper self and I say, hey, whatever is here is so safe. You're so safe to feel whatever this is, to express whatever this is. What's the deepest truth right now? I'm really sad. Why are you sad? Because this person said this and I really love them and it really hurts my feelings. Damn, I'm here for you. Might even hug myself, right? Have some like physical touch and say, you know that that's not true about you, right? Yeah. Okay. I understand it still hurts, but I'm here for you. I've got you. And this is the truth. You are a divine feminine being. You are on your path. You're not lost. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Other people's judgments and opinions of you does not dictate who you are. The way that you show up for yourself dictates who you are. You tuning into your truest essence and sharing that with the world, that is who you are. So have the feelings. That sucks. And I love you. And now all of a sudden, I've just transmuted this underlying anxiety. And instead of going to coffee, food, distractions, busyness as a way to handle that stress, I'm meeting myself at a deep level. I'm providing that love for myself. I'm connecting very deeply with myself. And I'm literally healing and alchemizing something that could turn into unprocessed emotions and pain.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
And just that description is so helpful, because I think we can hear all these different downloads and experiences from people on the conceptual aspect of that alchemization or integration, but to just have that example, which most of us go through, right? And I was smiling while you were saying this, because you know, in some of my medicine journeys, I just had journeys where I was just there to sit in the discomfort. That's all I had to do. And not judge it, not label it as anything other than what it is. And so much of the experience for the human is the experience of these emotions. Because if we wanted everything to be all amazing, rosy, blissful, and infinite amount of love, we probably would not come here to experience these experiences. So there is an element of the rawness of being and feeling that, and just comforting yourself. And to me, what really comes to mind is self-love. And how much of self-love do we bypass for the external validation, for the external feeling of feeling the safe or security that we feel we don't have the ability to produce from within, and it's always there. And I think, you know, with relationships, we find this a lot. We're always seeking someone to kind of complete us, or, you know, it's always like two halves coming together to create a whole. But I really believe you want two wholes coming together to create a third, and that's the experience of a wholesome relationship. So I really appreciate how you share that. As it relates to self-love, how did you get to this place of giving yourself that love? Where did that come from for you? And how did you show up for that to really embody it?
Yeah, great question. It came after some abusive relationships and experiences that I had, where I placed my love in someone else who caused a lot of harm, and I kept seeking that love from a harmful place, and I abandoned myself at the deepest level. So there was a moment of truth that I had to realize and accept. And that truth was that I was never a victim of any of these things. I consciously chose to be a part of these dynamics that were harmful. So it wasn't anyone else. It was myself that abandoned myself at the deepest level. And when I chose to go on the healing journey, and I, you know, had the lowest moment of my life, chose to return to life, in that moment, I knew that every single day I had to work on healing, creating a relationship with myself, and showing up for myself. So every single day I was doing deep work. I was showing up and doing all of the practices to excavate everything in me that allowed me to choose a situation like that. The first time that it happened, I said, oops. And the second time that it happened, I said, shit. Because I realized it's not, it's not hard to realize I'm the common denominator.
Sure.
Like, why, the first time, oops, the second time I got to take responsibility because now it's a pattern.
Exactly.
And I'm sure as hell not doing it a third time. So that really sent me on this journey of healing, of facing all the aspects of self, facing all the hard truths about how did I consciously create this? Because when we're in victim consciousness and we think that these things are happening to us, it never empowers you to make a different decision. And so you're always going to continue to choose those experiences. And I knew I would not survive another experience. So I knew that I had to raise above the victim consciousness. And that's hard because I'd already done some work at this point. I knew about victim consciousness and the victim mindset. I had even taught on it. But it was hard for me to see how I was still in victim consciousness in these certain areas of life that were the most intimate or the most deep. And so sometimes even lessons that we've learned, there's deepening lessons of it that you have to get on a cellular level.
Right.
And that was that for me. And once I chose that I'm the creator, I'm the co-creator of my experiences, then I could ask the question, how did I co-create this? And what do I want to co-create moving forward? And it really puts you in this really powerful, empowered seat of your life to show up powerfully, to co-create the experiences that you wish to have. And so for me, it was the daily integration, the meditation, the breath work, the journaling, the weekly mentorship calls, the yoga sessions, every single time that I sat on that meditation pillow and I allowed myself to feel, to express, to work through even childhood trauma or other trauma in college. Every time you do that, it's like the butterfly effect, right? You're creating a deeper relationship with self, more self-love, more self-autonomy as well, more ability to use your own voice. Right. So the previous version of me, she wasn't able to fully speak her truth. She wasn't holding her boundaries. She knew to set boundaries, but she didn't know how to handle someone that did not care about any boundary she set. Now I know, walk the fuck away immediately. And I had to go through that to build such a strong sense of self. And now I really have built such a deep, loving relationship with myself. Like, I think I'm so dope, but not in the I mean, there's maybe a little bit of ego in it. Like, I do genuinely like this earth suit that I'm in. I've worked really hard for it. I was in bodybuilding for 10 years. There's a little ego to it. I'll admit that.
Absolutely.
But,
you should be proud of it.
Yeah. But it's the deeper self.
Right.
Like, I've got me. I show up for myself in every single way.
Yeah.
I've even broken my own heart in the way of really being deeply in love with someone and recognizing that if I chose to continue in relationship with them, then I would experience a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, not at the same level of the abuse that had happened before, but in an unconscious level from this person, because that's just where they were at.
Right.
And I would be essentially the punching bag while they figured it out. And I loved myself enough to walk away, and walking away truly broke my heart. I was beyond heartbroken walking away from that. But in walking away from something that I knew did not serve me, was not in my highest alignment, I was saying yes to myself. And I was saying, I've got you no matter what. Even when your heart is fully here with someone and in something, if it does not serve your highest good, if it is not loving for you to be in this relationship and loving of self, then I will be strong enough and walk away.
Right.
And so those moments really just created such deep strength, love, appreciation for myself. So I joke about the ego part of it, it's in there a little bit, but like really it's just my inner light, my inner child, my inner self, this divine feminine. I just love and appreciate her at such a deep level because I've spent so much freaking time with her. Yeah. I've given her so much love and presence, and it really is one of my deepest relationships.
Well, no one knows you better than yourself. What does it look? I'm curious. What does it look like when you're not showing up for you, and with boundaries? Because boundaries are so important, and it's easier to establish these boundaries with people that might be in the peripheral of your ecosystem or newcomers, etc. But the ones closest to you, especially family, really close friends, become quite a challenge. How do you establish your boundaries with that?
Yeah, the boundary talk. There's actually a really good book on this
Okay.
that I'll refer people to.
Yeah.
It's called Boundary Boss by Terry Cole.
Okay.
Reading her book helped me understand at a deep level how I was empowering very, very harmful people to continue harming me through not keeping my own boundaries. And she talks about different types of people that break boundaries. I think the highest one being like a boundary destroyer was the name, and how to deal with that and how to communicate that. And so that's just a really good resource for people. I learned a lot of things from that. When it comes to your parents, people closest to you, family, those relationships, the truth is you teach people how to treat you through what you tolerate and what you accept. And it's really hard when a relationship has been one thing your entire life, and then you start to grow and shift and evolve. And now all of a sudden your standards for your relationships and how people treat you has also grown and evolved. You have to have some hard conversations. Sometimes you just have to take a little bit of space.
Yep.
You know, there's different ways to go about it. It doesn't always need to be this big dramatic thing. I'm actually more so like, I like to take a little bit of space and for there to be a natural space, and then coming back to that and allowing my embodiment to be the reflector of how things have changed.
Right.
And also to nip things in the butt. So, you know, maybe you're around someone and they say something to you, or say a statement about you, literally just saying, I don't receive that. I'm sorry, what? I don't receive that. I don't speak to myself that way. I don't speak about myself that way. Our words are very powerful.
I totally agree with you. It's, again, always comes back to this living embodiment. It's like once you show that you don't tolerate, at first they're going to be like, this is different. Like my nervous system is, I'm not used to this. And then over time, when they see it, and I've gone through it with my own mother, and just seeing the change in our relationship and how beautiful it is now relative to what it used to be. And so it's really a really powerful thing to establish. But I think sometimes we are so afraid of putting those rules up and protecting ourselves. And I think if you reframe that as, it's not about them, it's about myself and the love that I'm giving myself. And if you really genuinely love yourself, you will establish these boundaries so that you can continue to speak your highest truth and live the embodiment and your most authentic self. So
that's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's so important because the way that you treat yourself is what often you will tolerate around you.
1000%.
So if you're mean as shit to yourself, you're going to allow other people to treat you that way.
Absolutely.
But when you start healing and growing and having love for yourself, now you get to set a new standard, and people will be triggered if they've treated you one way your entire life, or even if you've engaged in self-deprecating humor about yourself with these people. They're going to feel like it's super weird that you've changed, and now that's not a part of your lingo. But it's also really cool because you're leading the way. You're paving the path for a different way to relate to others. Because sometimes people relate to each other through things that are just really negative and low vibrational, whether it's the conversation about what's happening in the world or about each other. And that's a way of connection. So I think understanding how people try to connect can also help, because sometimes you'll realize it's not even that they're actually trying to be mean. It's like a form of connection to them.
Totally.
So sometimes even just providing a different form of connection can be very helpful. And also with setting boundaries, kind of along the same lines, is do something different with these people than what you would normally do. So if you usually go home and just sit on the couch with your family, and all of a sudden all these boundary talks and all these conversations and it's just chaos, maybe you suggest that you guys go race go-karts and have an experience together and connect over something else. So sometimes just providing that alternative way to connect can kind of ease the transition.
Totally agree. Beautiful. I want to sort of transition into the offering and calling or Dharma that you feel you're here to follow in this lifetime. I'm curious with where you're at today, and you've obviously going on your own journey now after taking some time off your podcast and your content creation. what do you feel is your Dharma at this current season in your life? Yeah.
To share my light and shine the brightest that I can, allowing myself to be fully seen, and in that reflecting other people's light to them. The way that I do that is through many different modalities and things, whether it's, you know, Saturday night at 11 p.m. at a bar eating dinner with friends, and this, you know, random person comes up, and I have the awareness of these divine opportunities that are presented to me. So in that moment, I feel that I'm living my purpose by sharing something as simple as a workout routine. That's how the conversation started. And then the conversation evolves. And now all of a sudden I have this opportunity to go speak to children. She's a PE teacher at a school. Amazing. And it's something that I've been calling into my life, is working with children and being able to speak to them and guide them and pour into them. And so that is me living in my Dharma. A client call that I had this morning, leading her through beautiful meditation, allowing her to just exhale and release all of the stuck and stagnant energy, and then to remind her of who and what she is, that she's a powerful creator, and she didn't come to repeat the experiences that she's already had in life or that she's seen others live, that she actually came to write an entirely new story. So she doesn't have to have fear of the previous experiences. She gets to have love, hope, and faith for the future that she's creating, for the embodiment that she's living in right now. That's me living me in my purpose, in my Dharma. On this podcast, simply just sharing from the heart in a very authentic way that is true for my experience, I believe is me living in my purpose. Me cuddling my puppies last night, kissing their cute little faces, telling them I love them 5,000 times in an hour, is me living in my purpose. It's me being in love, being in that nurturing, loving energy. So that's what I consider me being in my purpose, because purpose is not this like destination. It's not this goal. It's not something in the future. It's the embodiment of how you're showing up to life right now, today.
Totally.
Can you be in love? Can you be of service? And can you recognize the divine opportunities that are in front of you right now, today?
Yeah. I love that. And I feel part of that, and obviously like with what you're describing, a lot of that is through the journey of the healing process that you have to go through, right? Because there's no way to step into that and be the beacon of light unless you go through your own healing journey. And I think one of the things that we see when we're struggling between what's our purpose and we're going or search for clarity, we default to, maybe I just want to help people, and that's amazing, and we all should help each other. And I think one of the greatest gifts of helping each other is by helping ourselves heal. And I'm curious, with that, what parts of you did you have to heal so that you could heal others on your journey?
Being seen was one of them. I went through some very challenging experiences, and even very challenging public experiences and online, where to be seen meant that I wasn't safe. And so I literally had to heal the part of me that felt unsafe when I was seen, realizing that the truest essence of who I am is this divine light within that is untouched. No matter what I've been through in life, no matter what anyone has ever done to me, that part of me has never been touched, and it will never be touched. So knowing that, I truly am safe. I'm safe to be in my body. I'm safe to be in this experience. I also believe I, have these foundational truths. I believe I'm divinely guided, divinely protected, and that I am provided for. And so in believing that, it allows me to move throughout life with a sense of safety, that I'm not alone. I'm not out here on my own journeying through this life. I truly am safe. And I also take a lot of practical ways to, assist me with that as well. I just went on this weekend experience where I learned some survivor type skills for different environments and situations that we may be in today in today's reality and world. And what that does is it just empowers and equips me to, in a very practical, like physical sense, be safe in my space and be aware and be able to recognize situations before they even happen, just by being in tune, having that situational awareness. So I really like to empower myself on all levels, the spiritual 1,000%, and also the physical and the reality around me. But back to your question, being seen was something I really had to heal. And I really feel that even it's like just now I'm feeling the safest I've ever felt to fully be seen for all that I am right now. And that's beautiful, because I also know, something that I struggled with all throughout growing up even was I wanted other people's approval, I guess. Let me give you an example. In high school, my volleyball coaches came to me and said, "We want you to be the team captain." And I genuinely knew that I would lead the team very well. I knew that I was a born leader, that I would do an amazing job. And yet, out of my wounding, I said, let's have the team vote. I wanted the team to vote me in. I wanted to know that they wanted me, or that they saw me for who I truly was.
Right.
Of course, the team did not vote for me. And the coaches assigned me as co-captain. And so I took that position. And later on in the season, the captain essentially dropped out and I became captain anyway. So it's kind of funny how life puts you in the situations you're meant to be, even when you try to say no.
Right.
But that's just an example of, I believe, the wounding that I had. It's like the wounded feminine expressed to want other people's opinions or approvals, or for them to see you in order for you to take position. And now I won't hesitate to just fully stand in my power, in my aura, in my energy, because I know how healing it can be for other people. And also because I'm strong enough to take anything from anyone that doesn't see or appreciate or love or value me, because I love and value me. So I don't need that approval. And when other people don't see it, I just understand that maybe they're looking through a different lens and I'm not the right fit for them. And that's okay. There's billions of other people in the world that can, be a part of their journeys.
Totally. No, very well said.
Thank you.
What do you think in terms of your own story and journey? Like, what part of your story do you think was given to you, not for you to keep, but to pass on to others?
All of it. Really, truly. I have had this deep inner knowing for the longest time that everything that we go through is not just for our soul's evolvement, but it's for the person that's a few steps behind us, for us to, reach our arm out and say, hey, I've been through this before. This is what's helped. This is, a path you can take, and to just reach out and lend a hand. I'm really thankful for the different guides and mentors and people in my life that have done that for me. And I definitely see it as a way that I can, in a full circle way, give back to others, is by, sharing that. So whether it's all the lessons that I've learned through death, going back to the beginning of the show, which has been one of my biggest teachers in life, or heartbreak or divorce or, family stuff. There's just so much. There's so much. And we all as humans have our own unique experiences. And so by going through our own, by healing through all of that, then you can share that from such an empowering place so that others realize they're actually not alone in their experience. Yeah. Even when I look at, one of the biggest things I also had to transmute was this belief in separateness, this belief that I was alone. And the more that I've gone on my healing journey and just really integrated as a spiritual being, having this human experience, tapping into the field of divine intelligence, I just know on such a deep level that we are never alone. There's always this beautiful, intelligent, divine power that is around always, that we can always tap into. And even when, I asked some deeper questions about that lowest point in my life, and I said, what really happened there? How did those thoughts get to me? And I just have this inner knowing that it was a higher divine power that came through. I was in such a low vibrational state. I was not having highly conscious thoughts or ideas. There was no thoughts. There was no ideas. I was not showing up to my life. Yeah. So how did this question how did I receive that? We receive thoughts. So where did that come from? and I have a deep inner knowing of exactly where that came from. And knowing that just really helped to heal this idea of separateness or loneliness or aloneness, because I realized that the only truth is oneness.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. I mean,
Thank you.
I've been there. I resonate. And, you know, this is also part of why I'm doing this. It's just sharing the stories that you and I and many others who are walking this path have gone through. And it's the experiences, not to teach anyone anything, but to teach through our own experiences and through our own embodiment. And everybody has a different, there's, you know, I believe many truths coexist, right? And really the unfolding of this life is that there's every single perspective you can think of, and they all are true, right? So
yeah, on that note, can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Think about it this way. We all have a different thumbprint. Even identical twins don't share the same thumbprint. I think the same is true for our energetic imprint that we're meant to leave on this world.
Yeah.
Also what we resonate with, the paths that we walk. So I think it would be absolutely crazy to say that people that are so different have to follow the same any path, no matter what it is. That's crazy.
Well, it's also crazy to think that people don't think that they're unique enough, or, you know, that they're, I used to believe that I didn't have anything special to offer this world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Because I was always comparing myself to what I thought was the right path.
Wow.
What I thought was the way in which I would feel the self-love and validation for myself. If only I had this sort of skill or talent that artist had, or that entrepreneur had, or whatever it may be.
Comparison.
The comparison was always there. And it was always this feature of, I will never get there unless I have this uniqueness about myself. And it was always trying all these different things, which is part of the process. You need to explore, you know, FA and FO, right?
Yeah.
You need to go through that process to learn. You know, when I came back after leaving my career, I spent a year just making music, you know?
That's awesome.
I took the space. I didn't know what I was going to do. And there was this part of myself running into people that you know or have worked with, and the question of, so what do you do now? It was like this thing that would burn inside, and feeling like I didn't have that worth or validation. And so the comparison, which coming into this social media era, we, you know, obviously comparison has been one of the things that I guess they call a loneliness epidemic, where we're comparing each other and we're not following our own path. And obviously growing up in a system where maybe family very opinionated on what you should do and what kind of profession, etc. But then you realize at a point in time where you've gone through a lot of changes, a lot of discoveries, seeking truth for yourself, that, my God, I am so unique. You are so unique. And we have such unique gifts that we're here, that we picked this body for a specific reason. And the things that we're doing are really just for us, and we're finding our little niche in that. And everyone is so unique. And that is such a gift and beauty of the experience of this existence. And I think as more people awaken to that, they'll start to realize that when you follow that path that is truly designed for yourself, you will see life in such a different way, and that authenticity and highest truth and all the great stuff that we can embody is there. It's just you have to follow that and listen to your intuition. So
that's so good and so beautifully expressed. And I feel like I hear a question from the audience.
Yeah.
How do you know which path that is, right? Because you said when you follow the path.
Yeah.
So how do you know which path that is?
It's not something that I was able to think. It was just this knowing in my gut. Like, I had every offer to go to a new firm.
Mhm.
And each time I told them no, they offered me more money, more
Oh my
benefits.
gosh. So you were really being tested.
And I couldn't say yes.
Wow.
And it was just this knowing in my body. It's just like, this is not for me. It's hard to express because even I was in that place of how do you truly know? And I'm in a place where who knows if that's the truth or not, but experience and you'll see. And I don't think there is a right or wrong. I just think that there's an experience. And you know, I'll ask you this question because I'm interested, but I've gotten to a place where, especially through my meditations or just even sitting in silence, that when something comes up, I can feel my body vibrate and I can feel just my heart expand. And usually is my signal that this is a yes. Whereas when I know something is not for me, I tend to contract. I'm curious, what is your way of knowing?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel the same thing, that the yes, the way forward is usually, I'm going to say usually for myself, the expansion.
Yeah.
I have to check myself on the contractions because I have to ask myself, is this contraction coming from a inner guidance telling me no? Or is it coming from my past pain and trauma that's trying to protect me, which sometimes is holding me back from the thing that I actually want? So for myself, I have really had to tune in and just really discern that. And for me, it looks like exploring all different thoughts and different paths to take, just being open that, okay, you know, and sometimes it's very clear. Sometimes it's just clear. This is not a part of your path. Yes, this is a part of your path. And other times it's like, let me just pause and take a moment to tune into the resistance and feel if this is intuition or if it's resistance. Because I have had experiences in my life where I felt so right. I felt right. I felt aligned. I just was like on my little high horse.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I got humbled AF in a float tank, actually. A float tank, for anyone that doesn't know, it's sensory deprivation. So you're in this little personal pod, or the one that I did was a big room type thing. And the water's about room temperature and you're floating because they put thousands of pounds of salt in the tank.
Right.
And so it's this really beautiful meditative experience.
In complete darkness?
I did complete darkness. Okay. Yeah. That's my favorite.
Yeah. It's really good.
You can start with a little bit of music, maybe some stars, and just kind of get acclimated. Once you're comfortable and you're ready to go really deep, then you can turn off the stars, turn off the music, and it's soundproof in there. So you just get into this very deep meditative state. And in that place, I spent, I don't know how long. In my head, it felt like 15 minutes straight of quote unquote tuning in to my quote unquote intuition. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that in a minute. And I'm just feeling so right about these decisions that I'm making. And then all of a sudden, the thought pops in, where's your heart? And I realized all of my energy was here in my head, all of it. I said, huh. And in the float tank, you can hear your heart beat. It's like boom, 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 because it's underwater. And so I can hear it and I'm searching for it with my conscious awareness. And I literally can't feel it. I literally feel walls. It's like my awareness is on top of the walls and my heart is beneath them. And I said, oh my gosh, I've completely left my heart out of this. Let me just sit on that. Let me just chew on that for a moment. Because the logical, the analytical, the ego, the mind will create all sorts of stories and narratives. And often its job is to keep you safe.
Yep.
So it's going to do its best to keep you safe. And it's often going to feel really right. But for myself, when I realized that my heart was not in coherence, I realized that I needed to pause and really tune in deeper to really identify if what I was feeling was intuition or if it was actually the ego, the mind, trying to control and trying to keep me safe. And the next thought that I had in this float tank was, why don't you look at all of this again, but take off the lenses that you're currently looking through and put on the lens of love. I want you just to look through the lens of love on this situation. And when I did that, it humbled me in the most beautiful way. I had such a different story, perspective, understanding of something that I felt so right on.
Yeah.
And going back to what I said about truth, I love truth more than my own feelings, more than my own opinion or judgments. And so when I realized this, it allowed me to bring the heart back into the conversation, create some mind-heart coherence, and then really tune in to my deep intuition. Yeah. And so I mentioned that because I was actually given a story a couple days before that about how this person was talking about someone else essentially. And they were saying, they're so spiritual and yet they were doing this and they really felt like it was their intuition. And so I'm listening to this story. I'm like, well, let's not judge them. Right. Number one. Number two, why is this story coming into my experience? Because I have another foundational truth that everything we experience and everyone that we experience is a teacher. So what could this story be reflecting to me? Yeah. And it's funny because it ended up being a moment where I wasn't in my deep intuition. I was in my deep subconscious desire to protect myself. But in reality, I was keeping myself from what I actually wanted. Wow. Flow tanks are profound.
I think I need to go back and do another one.
Highly recommend.
That was powerful.
Thank you.
It's interesting because with the ego, and as you said, it's there to really provide that safety and security, even if it's not for the best of our expression. But yeah, it almost feels, and I'm asking personally for myself, really, because there is this place of wanting to eliminate. And, I mentioned to you when we had met, I had gone through this experience where enlightenment, it was like complete dissolution of every ego attachment desire I ever experienced in my life, and it was the complete oneness and integration with our whole existence. And I thought after that, like, I kid you not, I was like, I never have to meditate ever again in my life.
Stop.
I swear, I was like, I never have to meditate ever again in my life. Really reflecting, we're all enlightened. It's not something that you seek to or strive for. It's really a state, and our whole essence spiritually, we are in meditation. That's how I feel about it. But I'm going through this process of, okay, you're breaking down these old belief systems, you're changing these old patterns, and you're releasing a lot of this ego. But I don't know that you can really let go of the ego completely unless you're in that spiritual state. So it's almost like the ego is there, even if you're more spiritual, whatever, there is an identification still. Do you feel like that ever goes away, or?
No, and I don't think it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And I actually think that we can use it. We just can't put it in the driver's seat. Yeah. So there has to be a level of ego, I think, for myself to create content, to show up really powerfully on stage. I'm going to make sure that the ego self feels really good about how she looks and how she walks in this world. Right. I think being presentable and making yourself feel good, even from the clothes that you're wearing to the way that you present yourself, maybe for women, the way that you put on some makeup, so that you feel your most confident and best. I think that's a beautiful way to support the ego if it's allowing your soul's essence to shine through. So, there's a lot of different beliefs on that, but I think, the ego is a wonderful thing as long as it's not in the driver's seat. And in that moment for me, it was in the driver's seat. And so that's when I'm like, hey, out of the driver's seat, you belong as a passenger. Right. And I'm going to operate in this world from my deepest soul's essence. and you can be here. And yes, we're going to make you look good. Don't worry. You know, we're going to like catch a vibe. We're going to train. We're going to eat healthy.
Sure.
You deserve to look good and feel good.
Yeah.
Like I don't paint the ego as this bad guy. I think the ego is great. I just have to check it sometimes.
Totally. And I think that reframing, just that reframe of mental framework of what an ego is, because when we hear ego, we think bad, you know, but it's there for us, and we need it just as much as we need this body if we want to experience the material world, right? So it is something that I think it comes down to the integration, and that's why, you know, just talking about transformation, like what is transformation, right? And I just see it as this process of integrating. It's a continuous integration, and I don't think it'll ever end. And that's what we're here to do. And you can't take any material things with you, but you'll definitely take the lessons that you've learned in this lifetime. But very beautifully said.
Yeah, thank you. It's a beautiful discussion. And I like to talk to my ego too. Or if I notice that I'm in my ego about something, I'll just laugh about it. And I'll laugh with and or about or at sometimes.
Befriend it.
My ego, I'm like, oh, that's cute. And I'll say, I'm doing that human thing again.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, because it lets it be more lighthearted.
Yeah.
Like not everything has to be so serious. Yeah. It can be lighthearted. It can be funny. You can laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
You know, even you were talking about like the food stuff earlier, there would be times where I'd be in my kitchen and maybe I'm like reaching for chocolate or something.
Right.
And I would just pause and say, I'm not hungry. I don't even want chocolate. I'm like, okay, that's funny. I'm doing that little like human thing again.
Right.
Let me see like what's really going on. Why am I seeking this like moment of pleasure, you know, through taste, and what is it that I'm actually needing, and how can I source that for myself? But yeah, I've just learned to kind of laugh in those moments.
Are you able to transmute that in that moment?
Yeah, now I am, but it's taken a lot of practice. Yeah, a lot of practice, because I was a bikini bodybuilder. I was an IFBB pro for a long time, and went through a lot of dieting when it came to the food that I ate. And definitely went through a whole journey of my relationship with food. And now it has shifted into just such a beautiful relationship. And so, yeah, anything on food related, I can definitely probably speak to, just because I've been through a lot when it comes to, you know, food and the way that we fuel our bodies and how we naturally use food as a source of pleasure or feeling better or comfort. And I'm a huge foodie still to this day. I have all the places that you told me in LA. They're all saved in my Google Maps.
Oh, they are?
Yeah,
I gotta send you more.
Can go visit.
That's beautiful. It helps me too, because I, you know, there are moments where the old patterns start to come up, and just being more in that practice of just watching it and being curious and being playful with it. And it doesn't have to be that serious, you know? Yeah. The moment you start resisting it, it's like, man, the mind will just take over, and there's no escaping it. So
I feel like, can I guide people through that real quick?
I would love, I
just feel that's a common experience. You know, if you're someone that really goes to food for comfort, maybe you're really emotional or sad or have anxiety or however you experience it, and you reach for food, the next time that you do that, just pause and have some awareness and say, oh, I'm doing that thing again. And then bring some curiosity into that moment. And for just a moment, step out of the kitchen. You can always come back to it. Right. So I'm not saying you can't have it or that you can't eat it anyways.
It's true.
Just give yourself a moment, go into a different room, sit down, hand on your heart, one on your lower belly, take a few deep breaths, and just say, what is it that I'm feeling right now? What is it that I really need right now? And how could I give myself that through a different method? And then if you can, try to source that through a different method. And again, you can always come back to the food later. Maybe even create a system with yourself where you check in, you show up for yourself. Maybe you even try to source it through something else. And if you still want it, you have a little bit of that afterwards. So it's not any like rules or pressure or right or wrong or good or bad. It's just, I'm going to meet myself a little bit deeper in those moments and see how that shifts my relationship to food in those moments.
Yeah. Very helpful. And I know that will help me as I continue that path with my shadow and relationship with the emotional eating. But I'm sure it's going to help many others who are going through that process, and not just eating. There's many other forms of that addiction.
Yeah.
But, I feel like we've gone through this beautiful arc of experiencing death as the doorway and the call to transformation, and what it takes to really surrender the ego and the identifications during that process, to then really step into alignment and the becoming, right? And the embodiment of that practice. And then, the offering, because I always feel like whatever we do, the sacredness of offering to others, and whether it's the healing journey that then transmute as we touch others on their journey, or whatever we're building, or the health and wellness guidance, it's all really at the end for the collective. So that to see you where you're at and what your calling is, and also the excitement with what's coming up for you in this new stage is really beautiful.
Thank you.
And what dies in us is not often an end, but the beginning of something sacred. And your path really highlights and reminds us that transformation is not a clean or linear process.
It's not always cute.
No. And there's the descent, there's the death, there's the shedding, and then the sacred returning. And in that rawness, in the devotion to truth, we begin to see who we really are. Not just for ourselves, but for the healing of everyone else we touch. So I really thank you so much for your wisdom, your sharing, your teachings on the show. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn a lot. One thing I want to do before we end, kind of a ritual, I call it soul seed.
Okay.
And it's just one thing that you could share, one practice that has impacted you, that you implement in your process and transformation, something that I can carry and practice, and others can as well.
Soul seed. I love that.
Yeah.
That is really what we're doing, is just planting seeds.
Yeah.
I think what is coming through right now, which has been just a recent big lesson for me, is, and I think I want to guide people to do it in this way: put on some glasses, sunglasses, glasses, whatever it is, and then take them off. And when you take them off, choose to look through the lens of love at your situation, at the person in front of you. And often it's going to be at yourself. Often we struggle the most to give love to ourselves when we believe that we are undeserving of love, or that we are in misalignment of our highest selves. It's hard to give ourselves that grace. So look through the lens of love and play it like a movie, whatever it is. If it's a situation, a conversation, something that happened, your own experience of yourself, and see how that changes your understanding, your compassion, and the way that you show up to your own life and to your relationship with yourself.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been
course.
Such a beautiful conversation, and I love all of your questions and your insights and everything that you're doing for your community. We need more people like you that are being, collaborative and bringing other people along to help share the light, because it expands me. I always say in these episodes that feel this way, even if this never makes the internet, I feel that really good work has been done here, just between the synergy of what we've shared together today. So thank you for this and for having me.
I appreciate that. And that's really well received. And, I believe that I'm just looking at a mirror, and we're on this journey together. And, your journey is just as much as mine is yours. And when people start to see that, how much value and beauty and light that others can create, and just looking at what they're doing in their life and their embodiment. And I'm super grateful to have met you and to continue this relationship. And I just thank you deeply for the work that you're doing for the collective. So thank you so much, Emily. And thank you for being on here. Is there any, for anybody who's interested in learning more about you, any way to reach or find you?
Yeah, go to my Instagram, just my name, Emily Hayden. It's Hayden. And I actually have a workshop that I have for free for your listeners. It's the Soul Path Clarity Workshop. So if they want to hop on and get guidance on finding the path for their soul, the next right step, they can just use code podcasttour1.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.